Wow. That's the best cup of coffee.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
That is seriously the best cup of coffee I've had.
You say that every morning.
Every time she makes me a cup of coffee, it's the best. Well, I think about a month ago, I asked y'all to ask us some questions. And we've just been so busy, and I've had other projects. And that is what this video is today. We will be doing I guess a channel Q&A type thing, where we will answer the questions you've asked me and us. By the way, this is my lovely wife, Amanda, that you've heard so much about throughout my videos. What have you been reading recently?
I've been reading Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which is the second book out of the Dungeon and Crawler Carl series. I'm not very far through. I'm probably, let's see where I am actually. I haven't read in a couple weeks because I've been so busy, but we are on chapter 7. It's a very easy, light read, but yeah, I've just been not mentally in the mood for reading at the moment, but this is what I am currently reading when I do pick up my book.
And what are your thoughts so far?
It's probably the most I've ever laughed out loud while reading. I'm a very visual person when it comes to reading, so having a book that is very good at painting a picture always makes me happy, and this book paints a very visual picture. And it uses a lot, obviously, from our time, so there's a lot of familiarity in it, as well as some cool science fiction stuff. So it's very easy and very enjoyable.
Okay. And you like the first one?
I love the first one. I read that one so fast. I've never read a book that fast before. And then now I've started to slow down, but that's just because life.
Yeah. No, I get it. I too have been slow with my reading. As you know, I think the past 2 or 3 videos I've mentioned I am reading book 12 of Wheel of Time. Oh gosh, every time I say that word, it's great. I just haven't been reading. When things slow down, I will be reading.
Yeah. Hopefully the week of Christmas we could have a nice,
That would be
just
nice.
listen to music and read.
That would be nice.
Yeah, we've both been working really hard to get to that Christmas vacation.
Yeah, she's a wedding photographer and I'm a wedding filmmaker, and we have projects and, a lot of editing to do that we're trying to finish up so we can mentally enjoy the holidays guilt-free. Because it's different when you're self-employed. You have your own deadlines. All right, we're just going to dive right into the questions here. How did you start your reading journey? Did your family get you into reading, or did you start on your own?
Well, reading was really a big part of my childhood, where my mom would read to us almost every morning. So a big childhood memory is reading Harry Potter, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Narnia series, and anything, honestly, like Aragon, Hobbit. So, but I was
Series of Unfortunate Events.
oh yes, series of unfortunate events. So we read together as a group. I didn't start getting into reading on my own probably until I was 14, 15, and I started getting into mystery thrillers. Nothing too crazy. I didn't read Stephen King or anything, but I read more mild, tame stuff. Frank Peretti was one that I read a lot of his books. And then I started reading really big books. I think one of the first books I got a library card I think when I was 17, and I started going to library pretty frequently, and I got Don Quixote, which is a big book. Took me forever to finish, but that book was pretty fun, just a little daunting when you pick it up and you see how thick it is. So I would say like high school was when I was really interested in reading, and then I took a long break, and now being married to someone who loves reading, I feel like it started to encourage me to be back into wanting to escape in a little way here and there. But yeah, I'd say books have been a part of my life for a long time.
For me, I only read growing up when I had to read. Maybe Captain Underpants. Maybe Hank the Cowardly Dog, Magic Treehouse, those stuff. You know, you do the AR tests and all that jazz. And then I think in college, I read The Road. That was my first time, like, reading of my own volition. It was a great book. I just don't think I had the mental capacity to really appreciate it for what it was. And then I think during the pandemic, your mom and we attempted Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And that didn't go so well. Neither of us finished it. Then she got me into Narnia, Harry Potter. And then I discovered my favorite book.
Name of the Wind.
As you know, as everyone on the channel knows, I talk a lot about it. And yes, I will make a dedicated video for it when I do a reread. But yes, that book
rocked your world.
It rocked my world, and it started my reading journey.
Yeah.
This is a really good question.
Okay.
What do you hope to get out of a book when you get into it? Do you have an overall goal with reading in general? What I hope to get out of a book is... Oh, goodness. That's a video in and of itself.
Honestly, I don't hope to get things out of a book. I just honestly hope to get enjoyment. So when I read a book, even if it's a bad book, kind of like reality TV, if you're still like having fun, that is all I really care about. If it's a book that is just dragging and you don't have any connection to any of the characters or plot, then you just got to put it down. But he knows I read a terrible series.
You could talk about it.
And I
say it.
Divine Rivals. I was blanking on the name for a second. But not terrible in the sense that it was unreadable. It was enjoyable to read, and I enjoyed laughing about it with him. We're in bed and I'm cracking up because the plot was just outlandish. And the characters were pretty like a white piece of paper.
Like a little stick figure.
Yeah, just there. But I still enjoyed reading it. So if I get a sense of enjoyment and I can get a chuckle or even like a tear, then I'll have felt good about it. But you and I are very good about not wasting our time. So when it becomes a waste of time, then it's like you just got to close the book and you just got to
move on.
Move on.
Yeah. I guess for me is oh, one of your hairs?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's how it is. I guess for me, I think going into a book, I don't really hope to get anything out of it because I think that's preconceived, just expectations. And if they're not met, then you're not going to get any enjoyment out of it. So I just read it, and if I'm connected with the characters and the world, then I'm going to just keep reading it. And then it's at the end, when I've finished it, that I realize, wow, what a book, what an experience. And and then I look back on it fondly and think about that. Do you have an overall goal
With reading in
with
general.
reading in general? I mean, for me to be immersed, I guess, because I primarily read fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard because it's like,
Yeah.
again, it's a form of entertainment. So you want to be entertained. So in general, when reading, if you're not entertained by it, it's kind of a chore. But yeah, just a general enjoyment. But also, I know a lot of people read to find something similar in their own lives, or they want to relate to the characters. I don't always need to do that when reading a book, because in putting yourself in that book all the time is kind of draining. So it's nice to like find similarities or things that you enjoy about it where you're like, oh, I can see myself in this scenario, or what would I do? So I guess in a sense, like finding a way to put yourself into the book.
Yeah. I've never done that. I think it's nice to just sit in the shoes of another character and see their experience and their journey. Harry Potter, though, it's so relatable.
Yeah.
You know, the way he grows up and navigates friendships and crushes and love interests. What are the most important storytelling elements for you to enjoy a story?
You first? You want me to go first?
For me, characters. I think that's with anything you and I watch. If we're not connecting with a character or characters, man, it's not easy to get through, and it's not going to be fun to get through. Because I like to see characters with, different dimensions and character flaws, conflicts in a story. I think those two. And then world building, if it's fantasy, that's a nice little plus if it's done really well and subtly. What about you?
I mean, characters is definitely one.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of Hot Frosty. Yes, we watched Hot Frosty.
We did.
Because it's that month. And talk about characters. Talk about an example of no character to connect with
At all. Yeah. And plot. That makes no sense.
They just left him out on the street.
That doctor needs to be fired immediately. For me, honestly, a sense of coziness is very important for me when it comes to an element.
I like that.
I read a few months ago The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and there was a section in the book where she's just talking about a morning ritual and like going out into a cold March morning and getting that like brisk, crisp air, and then smelling blueberry muffins and getting a warm cup of coffee. And just that scene in the book alone, I was like, this is all I need in a book. Like, just explaining an element of coziness, and that you can be like, I've had that experience. And it's nice. So that's an element for me that's important.
That is true. And I think that's an element that kind of surprises me when I read books. Because it's like, oh my gosh, I feel cozy.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this on some posts and maybe in the video, a video of sorts, but Wheel of Time is that familiar, just cozy, warm blanket that you throw on yourself on a cold morning. What is one book you wish you read earlier in life? For example, I read Little Women for the first time at 22, and I wish I had gotten to know these characters when I was younger. Mine is easy. It's Harry Potter. I did have the opportunity, but I just didn't choose it, to grow up with that franchise as a child, like you did. I saw the first two books on my mom's nightstand. We saw the films. a couple of the first films, and that's it. I didn't get to experience the magic, no pun intended, that series was for children. And to grow with the characters, and to also, I was telling Mom this, to experience a new release. I haven't experienced a new book release. Wind and Truth just came out. I haven't read that series, so I'm not excited. When the third book for Name of the Wind comes out, then sure, I'll finally feel it. But I've never really been able to feel that magic. So that is one book and one series that I would absolutely want to read.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I mean, when we first started dating, we went to Universal Studios to Harry Potter World, and for me, it's like, this is my childhood. So I'm like really emotional, and you're just excited to be there. Like, because it's just an amusement park.
Well, I'm still very excited.
It was exciting,
Very.
but yeah, that's a good one, because yeah, that's my childhood. Literally growing up with Harry Potter, because I think a little younger than Harry would have been. So I think I was like 9 when those books came out. I read The Hobbit when I was in high school. And again, I didn't really appreciate it at the time because I was like really a big fan of the movies. So how slow the books are, I'm like not as big into it. Yeah, that's hard. I feel like I wish I would have read The Lord of the Rings. Like, I read the first one, and again, I was like, this is so slow. Like, why is Frodo still in the Shire? Can we get a move on? And that's because the movies, they bring up the pace, because obviously we can't have Frodo in the Shire for another couple decades before he decides to go on the adventure.
What is one book you'd love to see adopted? Oh my gosh.
Okay, read it.
What is one book you read the question?
Okay. What is one book you'd love to see adapted into a movie?
Do you have one?
I do.
Okay, you go.
But it might be kind of dumb because it's the
not dumb.
newer... Okay, well, first of all, this series would be a super fun, but I kind of would rather it be an animated
Yes.
TV series, not a movie. Dungeon Crawler Carl, I do not think could ever be a live action movie, but that's just my opinion. I think it would be really cool as maybe even like arcane style animation, so that would be amazing. But I'm gonna say The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I think would be a really good movie. Because, I mean, it's your stereotypical, like, kind of fun romance, but it has, like, a couple twists in there that I genuinely think would be really fun to see as a movie. I can't picture an actress or actor to play the main characters because I don't think that there's anyone in Hollywood right now that I would want to play as Addie or, any of the other, because there's so many fun characters in the book that
you would want unknown.
I'd rather see some new people play these.
Because the moment you have famous actors
just
take roles of the characters that are
away.
close to you in the book, then it. For me, take a wild guess.
Name of the Wind?
Yes, but you do not let an American touch the film. You don't.
Speed Denny.
Well, yes, but you give it to the Europeans.
Yeah.
I think German.
Wow.
It needs to be in another language. It needs to be very experimental and artistic in a way that you don't see in American films. And it could be a film. Maybe a TV show.
Yeah.
Because it's so long, and I think it would create that grittiness of fantasy. Because there's not many fantasy, like what's fantasy on TV and movies. Like what has stolen the show? You got Harry Potter, which is kind of fantasy, and then you've got Lord of the Rings.
Rings of Power.
We don't talk about that. This is great. How did you two meet? And what hobbies do you have in common? Okay. I met a guy at an industry party, a wedding industry party. He's a music composer. His name's Teddy. And we connected, and he would invite me every Monday to this amazing pizza place, like a genuine,
Authentic
Italian pizza place. And we'd go there every Monday. We'd do Meter Monday. And I would do that with him for probably a month, maybe a month and a half. And I think one evening, he showed me a picture of a girl, and I was like, yeah, pretty, Yeah. One Monday, I was lying in bed, taking a nap, lazy, didn't want to do anything that day, didn't want to go out. He texts me, "Hey, Meter Monday?" I'm like, "No, I'm okay." And then he says, "That girl's going to be there." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. And during that time, he'd been asking me to go to Meter Mondays because he's a mutual friend of mine as well that we met in the coffee industry, and he would constantly invite me, and I was always working or just busy and not really in the mood to go. And finally one night he was like, "Hey, Meter Monday tonight." And I'm like, "I've just worked an 8-hour shift. Probably not, but maybe." And then I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to go. Like, why not? I can meet some new people and hang out. And I didn't know that they were kind of trying to set us up. So they situated the table so that we would have to sit near each other. So when I got there, it was, oh, well, I'm sitting across from you, and we just hit it off. We started talking about movies and we had the common work of working with weddings. And then, yeah, you walked me to my car and you asked me for my number.
And truly the rest is history.
Yeah.
I asked for her contact information. That's exactly how I asked it, because I just didn't want to be cliche, and I didn't want to come off aggressive. But it just felt like old friends getting together.
Yeah. And he was actually returning a book that night because he had bought, was it a illustrated?
It was a
Batman comic?
Graphic novel.
Yeah. So books have been a part of our relationship since day one.
Day one. We would, every time we go out to that town, we go to Barnes & Noble.
Yep.
What hobbies do we have in common?
I mean, when we first met, you weren't super into coffee. So I feel like now we have the hobby of brewing and trying new coffees.
Yeah.
That's been my hobby for a long time. But I think I got you into finding enjoyment in drinking coffee. Reading is a new thing. Magic the Gathering is a common hobby, but we both learned that together as well. I feel like a lot of our hobbies we have picked up at the same time.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. He started getting into that literally like, I don't know, 2-3 months after we started dating. So that was a new thing for me too. But I feel like we tend to share hobbies because whatever he's excited about, I want to be excited about too.
Yeah. And she got me into the baking show.
British baking show, yeah.
Fortnite. We both kind of got into that
at the same time again.
and it's connected to Christmas for us.
Yeah.
Because we got into it like 3 years ago during that Christmas, and it will forever be our Christmas game.
Yeah.
And we always love playing with our friends. She's really good at magic. And I mean really good. Very intelligent. Like,
it's fun.
What inspires you to start creating? What motivates you to keep creating?
This is definitely for you.
Yes, although you create too.
Yeah.
It's so cliche and cheesy, but there is something that I was born with within my soul that I just love to create. Ever since I could walk, I wanted to create Legos, I got a little camera when I was a little kid. Made little movies. I loved acting and performing. And now as an adult, I've been filming weddings for 10 plus years, creating that way. I had a YouTube channel back in the day, created films that way, short films. There's just something in me that I just want to create. Mm-hmm. Dungeons and Dragons. Love writing for that.
I mean, I come from a family of creative people. I mean, my dad, he's a blacksmith. He creates just beautiful works of art with metal. He also is an amazing artist, so he draws. My mom is a painter, and she pretty much can do anything that she puts her mind to. Like, both my parents, like, they could open a store tomorrow with, like, just crafts and beautiful works of art, and they would just make a killing. But they also are workaholics, so they love working. But growing up in a house where my parents could both put their heads together and make anything encouraged me to want to find an outlet of creativity as well. I can't draw, I can't paint, but I can pick up a camera.
You can draw, you can paint.
I know if I put a lot of effort into it, maybe, but
very well could be.
There are just certain people that are able to pick up a pencil and create whatever's in their brain, and I just haven't been able to harness that side. So being able to pick up a camera and learn how to use it. I got my first camera when I was 11, so it's been a part of my life for over 20 years. Being able to learn all of the things that you can with that form of technology has been really cool. And then I started getting into black and white film photography, learning how to develop my own film, and that definitely sparked the excitement of this could be a career when I was I think I was 19. So I've been trying to harness that creativity as a full-time job and not lose the excitement of it. So creating definitely takes a lot of needing to encourage yourself to keep going. So, because it's hard when you might lose some steam or compare yourself to other people. So I'm trying to just remember why I'm doing it and keep that as the important part and let go of everything else.
What is your favorite book?
Oh, that's so easy, and we've answered it. Well, I haven't, but I
What's
don't
your
really...
favorite book? As of right now.
I don't know. I mean, as of right now, Dungeon Crawler Carl is just so fun, and that might be up there.
You know what my favorite book is. It's Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and I will keep it at that. I'm not going to bore you with the details. I made a whole video on it, and I'm sure I'll make more videos on it. And hopefully, my lovely wife will read it one day. Look at this question right here. Has your wife read any books you have liked?
Yes, but not
Which
Name of
books?
the Wind.
Which books have you read that I've liked?
The Hobbit, Harry Potter,
Okay.
the Narnia series.
Okay.
Yeah, I've read a lot of books that you've liked, but I have not read any of the recent books he's been reading. That is because I'm a stubborn person, and I will read it when I'm ready to read it.
Yeah. And that's the best way to read it. And that's the best way to do anything of your own volition, not because you are coerced into something or influenced or forced. Mm-hmm. So I guess yes and no.
Yes and soon.
Let me just say, for Christmas, that's all I want.
Stop it.
Oh, I can't wait. What is your favorite movie? That's tough, because it changes all the time.
Yeah.
Right now, for me, it's Sicario. Maybe Prisoners.
No.
That's tough, because anything Denis Villeneuve does,
Arrival?
I like Sicario and Prisoners a little more, because it's a little more grittier.
I think Sicario and Arrival are way better than Prisoners. Okay. Prisoners has great acting, but
come on, you gotta admit.
it's dark. Yeah.
It changes, but there's just so many films. But for me, anything that is ambiguous, doesn't tell you everything, allows you to think for yourself.
I'm going to cheat a little. We have
I know.
most rewatched movie, as in comfort. I can put it on any time of the year, at any point, and I will sit and I will enjoy it. And that is the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. It's a masterpiece. Like, as much as it strays from the book, but also as much as it strays from the BBC 4-hour version, like, which is also perfect in my opinion, but sometimes you don't have 4 hours, you may only have 2. So that has to be, of course, my favorite. But if we're talking about just overall, like, it is a perfect film, I'm going to say The Prestige.
It's a good movie.
I've seen it a lot, and the acting in it is just amazing.
I think Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve are like the only 2 filmmakers nowadays that are actually doing things that they're making films because they want to, and like
And
they're
it's
making
not-
what they want.
Yeah, they're not stealing from other source materials. They may be borrowing, but I feel like they create new stories
Yeah.
as opposed to a sequel.
And the unoriginality of Hollywood.
Yes, just too much adaptations of things we already know and have seen.
Ugh. Do you prefer physical or ebook? Would you ever go completely digital? No. I would never go completely digital because for me, I feel like digital storefronts, they can just pull a book. Very much like video games.
It is nice to have physical because you know that it's yours, it's in your possession, and it's fun to let people borrow your books.
Yes. I'm letting a couple people borrow I Have the World.
Yeah.
I have multiple copies because I like to.
We recommend books to people all the time, and it's nice to just be able to be like, here's my copy. Don't spend money there's ways that you can read things for free too, but it's nice to just be like, here. And there's nothing like flipping pages.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's nice. You could carry it. I know I've said this in videos where if you're at a coffee shop or at the airport, people see that book and strike up a conversation. Yeah. Kindles are nice. My sister gifted me her old one. I think it's great to compartmentalize a page or a section of a page and just kind of read a little quicker with bigger font. Also in low light situations, it's very convenient and it's light and it's easy to put in a bag. But physical books, man.
I will give ebooks this. I have a bad habit of seeing how many pages I have left until I finish a chapter because I have slight impatience. So that's something that an ebook would prohibit me from doing. I won't be able to just check how many pages I have left, or I guess it does tell you at the top, but to flip constantly, you're like, oh, I have 5 more pages. It's going to take me so long. But I think if you're on an ebook, you're a little more like, okay, 5 more pages to go. That's nice.
That is tough with like something as thick as this. You know, this is 700 pages and like, look how much I have left. It's tough to kind of, whoa, and the size of the font, it could get in your head a little bit. Yeah. So with an ebook, it is nice and it logs and it kind of keeps track of your reading speed.
Yeah.
It's like you'll have 20 minutes until you finish this chapter. When you put it in that kind of frame of reference, like, oh, 20 minutes? I got 20 minutes. I can read this.
Yeah.
Whether 20 pages? Oh my gosh. Favorite coffee shops. Favorite coffee shops. Three Pines in Utah. It's small. And if you're lucky to get a seat. Yeah. But usually it's like a grab and go spot. We love that place in Utah. She has not joined me on my travels a lot of the time. There were a handful in Pennsylvania that I absolutely loved. Can't remember the names. Necker, I don't know how to say it, but that in Boise, Idaho has got to be in my like top. Yeah. Of all time. It's some of the best drip I've ever had. Yeah. And and it was a nice spot to actually sit and read a book for a little bit.
Stereoscope in Los Angeles. They're great. Heart Coffee and Kova, both in Portland, Oregon, are amazing. We don't go there often, but we have ordered their beans before if you are interested in ordering everything. It's nice to know that you can order from all over the country and your beans will still be just as good. It's always nice when the place roasts their own beans too, but if not, like if the aesthetic is nice and the place is hospitable, it's nice to try it out. What video games do you like most and why? I don't know, anything that just has a sense of adventure is gonna be my top. I'm not really, I mean, Fortnite and Halo were kind of my shooter games, but I tend to lean more toward open world adventure. I loved Sly Cooper, anything Zelda related, Hogwarts Legacy. I could not stop playing that game when it came out. I was addicted.
Breath of the Wild is probably my favorite game. Witcher 3 might be taking that spot, but Stardew Valley, you know, those kind of games, the cozy games, but things with like goals and exploration, like genuine exploration rather than just following an icon on the map. Love Fortnite with the gang. Taking a break from Call of Duty because it's just become a little too mindless. A lot of those games that just have come out recently, just the big multiplayer games, Overwatch, and now they got Marvel Rivals coming out. All my video game friends are like, dude, you gotta play this game. Oh, you gotta play this game. Play this game with us. It's like, I can't keep up. So some of my favorite type of video games are just the single player experiences. Maybe couch co-op with you.
Yeah, couch co-op horror games are some of our favorites. We
Resident Evil.
played all the Resident Evils and just had a blast. I can't wait to do the Alan Wake video because Alan Wake 2 has to be some of the best like video game creation I've ever seen. So that one definitely has made it to my top 10. They put so much effort into that game, so I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah. Favorite types of music? I don't listen to a lot of music. Sometimes I like to just sit in silence and let myself think. But if I do listen to music, it's more often than not, it's going to be for work. And I lean more toward piano, cello, classical vibes, jazz. Love putting on the Skyrim score in the background while I read. I mean, I listen to all sorts of music.
Yeah.
But
a lot of folk. Listen to,
rap.
Yeah.
Anything but country.
Pretty much. We're both not really into country music. I listen to a lot of like grunge rock, like the Pixies and Joy Division.
Tame Impala.
Tame Impala. We love Tame Impala.
And we just saw the Avatar Last Airbender orchestra live. Amazing. We appreciate music and for what its role is in storytelling. Movies, video games, TV shows, music can just evoke emotion immediately. And for me, with my work for wedding films, I try to choose music that really connects with the couple and kind of represents that day and that period of time, and that is timeless and kind of strikes that emotional chord.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of question for me. What is my experience? What has been my experience? What?
How about I read it to you?
Sure, read it.
This is the last question. This one's just for Thomas. What is your experience? What has your experience been like building this channel? And what would your advice be to those who want to make their own channel?
Well, it's been a wonderful experience. And not to sound cliche, but you have made that experience worthwhile. It's, again, without you guys watching and hanging out, I don't know why I would have this. I am very passionate about books and video games and stuff, and the channel has been a great outlet for creativity and just to kind of speak my mind and my opinions and get my thoughts out there and try to just reach out to you and have genuine conversations back and forth. I don't post a lot, so my experience has been very much like I'm not going to try to get a video out for the sake of getting one out. When a topic pops up in my head, I want to make a video on that, and I want to be genuine and honest. You know, my goal with the channel is not for views, it's not for subscribers, it's not for likes, it's not for donations, it's not for any of that. It's just to have a connection, to have a nice little community and talk about things that I'm passionate about with you. My advice for those of who want to make a channel: be honest, be yourself. It's cliche, but it's true. I would never want to make a video where I'm not myself and I'm not being honest. Like, I want to be honest with you. I want to be who I am and share who I am with you. Because YouTube has this thing of just copying each other and the jump cuts and the trends and social media in general, that no one is really unique. They're all just copying one another and being one another. And when you are yourself, that's what matters most, because when someone comes to your channel and sees you being you, there's nothing like it. There's no one else out there like you. So you have something to offer, and it is something so unique, and that's who you are. And that's my advice. Just be who you are, because too many copycats out there. Literally. Someone tried to impersonate me. Well, my coffee is cold.
Mine too.
And I think that's a wrap. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out, being a part of my husband's channel.
Thank you for being a part of this video.